Okay, let's talk about the Legends of the Zone trilogy that just released on PC. Basically, an enhanced edition of the three original Stalker games. I really wanted to replay the three OG games before the Stalker 2 release, and unfortunately I couldn't find the time for it. So I got pretty excited for this enhanced version's release. This was the excuse I was waiting for to finally replay everything, especially because we have Steam achievements now, so I could try to unlock everything on top of it. And after playing quite a bit these past few days, I have to say I have pretty mixed feelings about these new versions of the game. I think I'm somewhere in between the die-hard GSC can do no wrong fans and the absolute meltdown happening on platforms like Reddit right now. So let's talk about what these enhanced editions bring to the table, the technical issues and how to fix some of them, the absolute drama unfolding about the AI use and the censorship of Soviet assets in the games, what we can expect in terms of modding in the future for these editions, and to finish, are they worth it compared to already existing modded version of the OG games, which is the most important question actually. Let's start with what's new. First, these games are not a remaster. I know it's a bit confusing, especially because we just got the Oblivion remaster recently that got super popular, but this is not the same. This is just an enhanced version of the games. The bar has been set much lower from the get-go. We have better graphics and visuals, upscale textures and UI, longer draw distances, updated visual effects, some bug fixings and quality of life stuff, but that's pretty much it. Actually, the under the hood stuff is more interesting, with the X-Ray engine updated to DX12, finally having multi-core support and things like this. Having a modernized engine is actually a great new starting point for modders, in theory, but we'll talk about modding later in the video because with these new versions it's a whole other can of worms. So the games do look better, there's no denying it, but it's not like it's a mind-blowing difference at the same time. I found myself relaunching the OG games many times to quickly compare, because I wasn't sure sometimes you could see an obvious difference, which is kinda telling. A lot of people will tell you the OG games with a couple basic mods will look as much, if not better than this, and they kinda would be right. The performance is not amazing either, which was kinda disappointing. I can run the original Shadow of Chernobyl at 4K 60 FPS with max settings on my potato, no problem. I was obviously not expecting the same for the enhanced version, but I barely got 40 FPS at 1080p on high settings, not even max. I was expecting a bit more than that, not gonna lie. Especially because, again, yes, the games look better than the original, but it's not like we got revolutionary graphics here. The gameplay in essence is exactly the same. The game definitely plays better, it's smoother, moving around actually feels good, the shooting and gunplay feels less clunky, and everything else is here. The AI, the atmosphere, the story, there's no complaints here. It's the originals but better. In terms of bugs and technical issues, I think the first thing people noticed, and I was one of them, is that the game seems very blurry, so here's how to quickly fix it. What you want to do is go to Advanced, and you're gonna remove all the motion blur. The anti-aliasing, either you completely disable it, or you leave it on FXAA. I like FXAA, actually. You remove the depth of field, that's what makes everything blurry when you're aiming your weapons. Next, we're gonna disable the global illumination. That's gonna unlock the SSR mode, and we're gonna choose HBAO. You're gonna leave it on high. Then we're gonna move to the AMD FSR. Even if you're on NVIDIA, you're gonna leave it on. You're gonna turn on the sharpening. You're gonna put the sharpness to max. Leave the frame generation off. It just gives a lot of input lag for no reason. And leave the mode on native. And that's it pretty much. Your FPS might take a hit though with all these settings, but it will solve most of the issues. By the way, when you play around visual settings, always restart your game. Even if it doesn't prompt you to do so, like it does sometimes, many times you won't see any differences as long as you haven't restarted your game. And that's it in terms of issues that can be fixed. Now there's the annoying stuff that we cannot really do anything about until some updates, hopefully. First, you can't manually rename your saves anymore. Why they took this away from us, especially now that we have achievements where you're gonna want to reload and replay specific parts of the game to get everything, I don't understand. And the bugs that can softlock you out of finishing some missions that have been fixed in every single mod for the games in the past 10 years haven't been fixed in these enhanced versions, despite the claim of bug fixes. So keeping a lot of manual saves at important points of the story inventory that you can rename to keep track of things is actually very important, and now it's just a mess. And the quick saves, they're not overwriting each other after having like 3 or 5 like the old games. So when you're a dirty save scummer like me, your shit starts looking like this giant mess. And the fact that you can't bind keys to your mouse buttons anymore, you can't charge throw bolts or grenades to throw them far or close, that's just the cherry on top. I don't know anymore. 1 step forward, 3 steps backwards for absolutely no reason. And we all want the silly, janky bugs that made the charm of the original still here. I'm gonna reference the Oblivion remaster again on how to do things right here, but some old bugs that I thought would be fixed because they're actually big game-breaking issues that, again, have been fixed in every modded version of the game years ago, are still here. Stashes being empty despite having coordinates for them, enemies shooting you through walls, all the sound issues, it's too quiet, too loud, the dialogues are not triggering, there's no footstep, the whole audio mix is a mess, it's all over the place. And on top of all these old bugs not being fixed, they introduced new ones. I only had the enemy bodies disappearing immediately after killing them twice and bandits teleporting around, so it's not too bad, but I've seen a lot of reports of crashes, invisible anomalies, new ways to softlock missions. There was 0 time expectations for these enhanced editions. They could have taken 1, 3, 6 more months to polish everything and have some quality control before releasing them. Literally nobody would have complained. I don't want to sound unfair to the devs. The games are not broken, they're perfectly playable, and I want to make this clear. But all these issues are obvious for anybody that played the OG games, and them being overlooked is just very disappointing. Modders already did all the work for you, for free, fixing everything. I mean, how hard it is to just check it out and implement it in your game. I'm not saying stealing modders' work, but like you just go to the patch notes of any mod made for your games and you're like, oh, I don't know, permanent radiation bug cured with save reload. Okay, maybe we should fix this in the enhanced version. No, of course not, they didn't do it, it's still here. Like, what the fuck? Someone literally did all your homework and you decide purposefully not to use it. It's not making any sense to me. Okay, I'm getting fired up, perfect timing to talk a bit about the drama. I generally try to avoid reading all the nonsense on Reddit or Discord, but my internet is very slow. It takes me 3-4 hours to download one single game, so unfortunately I have a lot of free time to grab some popcorn and witness people freaking out. First, the AI allegations. I mean, is it even allegations at this point when it's so obvious? I personally do not care that they used AI. I use AI for many things. It can be a very useful tool. I think people are mad because some stuff is on the level of the GTA remaster bullshit. It just shows you exactly the worst possible AI use cases. You just needed someone competent enough to use AI upscaling correctly. That's it. Or at least someone that cared a little bit. But no, we just get this lazy, sloppy, janky slop full of obvious AI artifacts. It's exactly like the bug fixes. It's not a huge issue in itself. I'm sure a lot of people won't even notice or care, but it just shows that there's no quality control and it's lazy. It's really disappointing. But the AI stuff is nothing. The crux of the drama right now is about the complete removal of all Russian language, names, currency, a lot of Soviet signs and landmarks from the games that were all present and an integral part of the original games. And it sparked a lot of reactions, from straight up anger, calls of historical revisionism, censorship, or just people being sad to see that parts of the historical context that made the Stalker games what they are gone, pretty much. And here it's a bit tricky because it's a complicated subject that requires nuance and understanding, and it's very hard to have those these days, especially online. So I made a silly chart. On one hand of this issue, you have the Russian trolls, review bombing the game and astroturfing the conversation. They're very loud, very obvious. They might convince you with some of their points if you're 12, but overall they're pretty easy to spot and ignore. Basically, it's all the arguments trying to paint this censorship as a performative gesture, and trying to completely dismiss and diminish GSC's and Ukrainians' point of view. On the opposite side, you have a smaller, a bit quieter group of people that fully support GSC decision. Their main argument is that Ukraine is going through a process of decolonization right now, that the removal of Russian and Soviet influence is essential to reclaim their Ukrainian identity that's been suppressed by decades of imperialist policies and forced Russification, and especially right now because Putin's special military operation is using these Soviet-era icons and dreams of former empire as one of the justification for the invasion. And a big chunk of people are pretty positive and understanding of this point of view. GSC is a Ukrainian studio, Stalker is an Ukrainian game franchise. They understand the reasoning and why the devs want to do that. The changes are not completely senseless. Removing these symbols helps to break from the past, and the original games still exist and are playable. The enhanced editions don't overwrite them completely, and I completely get this point of view. The last chunk, probably as big if not bigger than the previous one, is people who understand the decision of removing all the Soviet iconography but don't agree with it. And I think I'm personally around here on the issue, because it's a spectrum with a lot of different opinions, some more radical than others. But the main points are that, yes, the games are fictional in nature, but they are rooted in a very specific time period and events, and the Soviet stuff is an integral part of the atmosphere and identity of the franchise. Even lore-wise, the zone is literally a Soviet-era time capsule, cut away from the rest of the world. The whole Stalker experience is based on these vibes. The book, Roadside Picnic, is Russian. The Stalker movie by Tarkovsky is Russian. A big chunk of the development of the game was done in Russian at the time. The Russian Soviet influence are everywhere in this work. And yes, what's happening in Ukraine right now is tragic, but trying to erase the historical context achieves nothing and just takes away from the games. And actually, it's worse. It breaks the immersion in a world that's designed to show Soviet failure through the Chernobyl incident. I mean, if the Stalker game had some hidden, subtle Soviet propaganda, I would get it, but it's literally the opposite. I think this issue would be completely different and much more understandable applied to Stalker 2, because it's a brand new game and it's literally being developed during the Russian invasion. But even Stalker 2 doesn't go as far in terms of censorship, which makes this whole situation even more absurd. So one big argument is your job was to enhance the OG games. That's it, not censor them. And I'm putting myself more towards the middle because I can understand removing the Russian language, names and currency, for example. Even if I could argue that Russian language doesn't equal Russian state, it still fits the decolonization aspect of the decision, and I would be fine with it. But all the Soviet iconography and landmarks, I don't understand. Especially as someone who loves exploring the game, who has folders full of screenshots I use for my thumbnails or videos, or just because I enjoy exploring the world. Knowing that some of these landmarks are getting removed, it's just a gut punch. I know it's just a silly video game, I know there's a horrible war still going on, but come on. And can you do your censorship right, at least? Like, that's the worst part. It's lazy, it's a half-assed job like everything else in these enhanced editions. You could have destroyed them in-game, show them as runes or crumbles or I don't know, like anything, replace them by something, but no, you just like delayed half of it, but like still leave half. I don't know, it's just like so messy, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's breathe, let's move on to the mods. And honestly, I find all of this a pretty interesting conversation. I know the comments under this video are gonna be a shit show, but I don't know, I read like the text of a little bit everybody and I find the whole subject pretty interesting. There's no black and white easy answer, like there's a lot of different opinions and point of view, yeah, it's gonna be a shit show. Anyways, modding. Like I was saying earlier, in theory, having a new improved version of the games and engine is an amazing new starting point for the modding community. But right now, all you can have is small add-ons and tweaks through the Steam Workshop. But there are very strict rules in place with what you can do, and it's not much. On top of it, there are no modding tools or kits. This is not an open source version of the engine like modders of the OG games had access to, so just expect what we can call console level modding. mods. It's gonna be very restricted. It's not gonna be anything game-changing. Do not expect full-on modifications with new content or any dramatic changes, at least for now. So yeah, mixed feelings, like I was saying at the beginning. Right now, my advice is, if you got the enhanced versions for free, want to replay the games with the achievements, go for it. They're still fun and perfectly playable. If you want the authentic, improved experience of the OG game, just play the modded versions that have been around for a while. If we take Shadow of Chernobyl, for example, you have a range of simple mods that fix all the issues and improve graphics while staying completely true and faithful to the vanilla game. And the one I recommend is the Zone Reclamation project. You have full-on remaster like Shadow of Chernobyl Updated that I've been playing and enjoying a lot recently. If you want an Oblivion-style remaster to your Stalker game, that's probably something like this you should get. And you have mods like Radiophobia that I played and covered recently on the channel, which are a mix of everything. Graphical upgrades, bug fixes, tons of quality of life improvements, added weapons, and new content, new storylines on top of the original game. And I'm not even talking about Gunslinger or all these other options. The choices are endless. The Stalker modding community is the best thing that happened to these games, and if you're on PC, check what it has to offer. You won't be disappointed. And we'll see if we get some patches, fixes to these enhanced editions. I'm still gonna play them, try to get the achievements, they're still fun. It's just like a bit lazy and kind of a disappointment.